an expert biologist, and when this handsome fellow isn't traveling across the world doing research, he's at home cooking a great meal?
But yeah, that's all true, but Sancho, where did you get that?
An excellent assistant knows how to write an excellent introduction. You got it, boss.
Or taking a long walk on the beach? Who wrote this mess?
If you put a vision in the future, imagine a boat stepping into
Stuck in the middle. Moving down. if you guys haven't ever heard She Had, I implore you, check it out if you're a metalhead like me. Um, the reason I was holding this thing up, I got this for $5 last week. Like seriously, I love Pusshead artwork, and as soon as I saw, it's like I gotta have it. How much is it? And it's like $5. I'll take it as is. So I don't even know if it works or not. But I do have a PS2 that my dad gave me because we had a clean up a couple of years back, and it was amongst his things, and it was for my nephews when they came over. He would have something, because where he lived was rural, so he bought a PS2 just so that the kids could play, play games and not be bored when there's nobody in the area that they know. So they'll be at home just, hanging out with granddad and playing on PS2, which, grandparents are really cool like that, right? I mean, you try to raise your kids the way you want. I've seen my siblings, and grandparents will always try to spoil them. But however, in our family, we have one side that spoils them, one side that doesn't, because depends on your background, right? So welcome to decided to change the whole thing. Person of interest, right? I am a person of interest, and I'm interested in a lot of things. So today we're going to be looking at Iran and what's going on there, the revolution, and this character, because I'm a comic writer, like Creative Worlds, whatever, and we're working on a fantasy series called Zoolandia. And while I was doing writing issue 2, I found out that there was a young girl about 16 years old, like me when I was a teenager at 15, getting into Megadeth, Iron Maiden, AC/DC, Jimi Hendrix, and what else was there? Metallica, right? And I found out that this young lady basically was taken off the streets for wearing clothes like me, right? Black t-shirt, 3/4 shorts, black, black boots, Dr. Martens maybe. And she was taken off the streets and was disappeared for a while, and she was returned dead for being a 16-year-old kid who liked, I think might have been 14, I might be wrong there, who liked music, who liked to dress up like a Westerner. And so she was removed from the streets, hanging out with her friends, because she didn't dress up in all black and bow to the dictators of Islam. So we're going to be looking at the uprising that's slowly happening with the kids there. And I had a really cool video to play, man, and disappeared off the internet, gone, deleted, right? It was like, what? It was, it was like, what's going on? So this is the one I was going to play, right? So let me show you. Let me get rid of that. I hate this news. Like, everybody's been complaining about StreamYard, right? And it is suckful, right? Seriously, like, they've got this new thing where it's present and invite together. And then if I want to show an image that's on my, an image that's just on my computer, on my screen, they want me to pick one that's in a folder. And so this is coming from a folder, so I can't even zoom in. Whereas, because, with art, I like to show you the details that my artists have been creating and stuff. So I can't even zoom into Nika here and show you what she actually looks like in detail. But hopefully you guys can see it on whatever screen you're watching. And if you're just listening in, thank you for joining me. Welcome to the show. And if you've been here before, you know how it works. Usually we cover a whole lot of stuff early on, and later on we get to the main topic, which is Iran. Whereas today I'm just going to go into it. And this is from our issue 2 of Zoolandia, which my artist is working on right now from Sweden. So it's Euro art style when we bring it out, and it'll be in color. But yeah, I just wanted to bring this girl in there because I just felt like she was just reminding me of me, right? And it just felt like, how people like to insert themselves. I was like, no, I'll insert her into the comic and give her a life of her own for eternity, as long as the comic exists in print, right? Because then that nobody will forget her. At least somebody who's really picking up gets, well, this is the girl he meant when he was talking about, right? When you look online. I have covered Nika before on this channel. So I'm not sure if I've tagged it on there, but, hopefully you guys can check it out somewhere And let me just remove this screen share there so I can find you. I've got a couple others we're going to look at, but like, yeah, it just sucked. Like, this is what it came to. And the topic was Iran's youth humiliates the mullahs, and gone. It's gone to private, which kind of sucks. But I will play some others so we can find it. But before we get there, I want to play this video by Asmund Gold. Very quick, very short, about how certain individuals, so-called minorities, still regard humans as cattle, even in this day and age. All right, so check this out. Whoops, picked the wrong. See, this is what I mean. Like, it's like sucks. I'm like, I'm not used to this new setup yet. Right, so this is Asmund Gold saying this can't be real.
UN judge found guilty of slavery? What? UN judge guilty of forcing women to work as a slave?
So unfortunately, I'm going to have to now arrest you on suspicion of keeping somebody in slavery and servitude under the Modern Slavery Act. So you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned, something which later on in court,
Officer,
anything you do say may be used as evidence. All right. Sorry?
I am a judge in my country. I even have immunity.
Yo, you can't touch me because I'm special. Right? I am a black person. I'm a judge in my country of Africa, and so therefore I'm untouchable because I am a minority, even though like there's probably 1 billion people in Africa, right, who are black, right, and across the world. So it's like Indians, like, somebody goes, oh, you can't talk about like I'm an Indian, it's like, I'm not a minority. There's probably a fucking billion of us around the world, excuse my language, right? And they're all spread out like everybody else. A real minority is someone who's freaking on an island, and there's about 500,000 of them. That's it, or even less. And there are islands like that. But yeah, I love how these people always play the game of like, hey, I'm a judge. I work for a certain company,
I am not a criminal.
You've got immunity in this country?
Yes. I have a diplomatic passport.
See, that's the other thing. Have you ever watched shows on TV where, like, I remember growing up, right? And they used to be like, they'd go and hunt down someone and they find out it's a rapist or someone or murderer. Oh, I'm a politician, so I have diplomatic immunity or I'm from another country. And I'm like sitting there going, how dare they? Like, and this is me as a teenager or in my 20s, whatever. I'm watching and I'm like going, how dare they come and commit a crime in another country and then play that race card or the diplomatic card, right? The political thing, right? Oh, you can't touch me. Or like if you have like your embassy in another country, or this is our, like say, like New Zealand having an embassy in America, it's like, and the ambassadors or whatever, the staff commit a crime in America, they're untouchable because, hey, that's New Zealand's piece of land there. I'm like, that shouldn't be, that's not right? That can't be right. Like, that doesn't make sense. That's not fair. If you go out of your way to commit a crime in another country, you should not have any privileges. You should be treated like a criminal. So yeah, this is what I found like really offensive to me as a human being, that someone would like use this,
You're a diplomat.
Yes.
So we'll need to see that then.
Yes.
And then we'll need to speak to the embassy. If you are a diplomat.
I came here as a student. I don't need to work for me.
Another privilege. You got to go over there as a student, right? And this is what the other thing I hate, right? Is if you're a student, you have a privilege of studying, especially, if you're going to another country. You have the privilege out of all the people in your country to study in that country, another country, because either your parents are like rich or politically connected, or business people who got like basically it's all connections, right? Otherwise, your parents are really rich because you don't see any poor people going overseas. I know. And the other thing is like countries got offer scholarships, like I've mentioned before, where my grandparents, right, like uncles, grand uncles and stuff, people I didn't even know in the 70s, before I was born, were living in New Zealand, like studying, whose lives changed dramatically because they got offered bursary scholarships or whatever it is to come over to New Zealand and study in Waikato, right, which is one of the major universities here. And I was like, really? Yeah. And like my uncle was sitting me down, like this is like about maybe 2014, and he was just telling me about him, like, how come we don't know all this? Go, well, we don't. I'm like, I don't know nothing because I haven't lived in Fiji since I was like 8 years old, apart from 1 year I spent there, which was terrible, and as a child. But like for the last, what is it, like 45 years, I've been living in New Zealand. So I have no idea who's who really when it comes to connections. Every time I go to Fiji, people are like, oh, that's that. I'm like, hey, and move on to the next person because I have nothing in common with them, or I don't even know their history or anything. So the other, like getting back to this, like the student thing, right? So no, I didn't even know. All I knew was that one of my uncles ended up in Australia because we visited him, and he invited my other uncle there. That's all I knew. However, we've got family all over the world because of the privileges that New Zealand offered to my elders even before I was born, right? And it really, really advanced our family because of that privilege that they were offered, because they were really good at school. They worked really hard and they worked their butts off, all right, to get that. Like A's, you had to get A's, 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 A's. Otherwise, you're like, oh yeah, there's another Indian person there. All right. So I every time I hear people like, especially we're going to play this other video, I think I've got jacked up where about those guys at the university in America doing this, protesting in favor of Hamas, right? Basically, I don't think of them as like pro-Palestine because Palestine isn't a real country, right? It's just a buffer thing to use against Israel, and dumb people. So the whole thing is like, if you are coming into another country and you've been offered to study there, that's all you do. You go to school, maybe go to the movies or whatever, and go home, sleep, go to school. Again, you try to, thin line, like that way. Like this is your narrow line road that you should be walking on. Not getting involved in crime, not trying to do anything, protesting for some other shit thing. Go at your home and do that in your own country. And I'm very adamant on that. I just hate people doing that. Yeah, if I'm a citizen of my country, I can't protest against my country's thing because I'm a citizen. It's my right as a citizen to say, hey, yeah, I don't like what you guys are doing. I don't need some a-hole from some other country come to my country and tell me or protest for some other country or protest against my own country in my own country. I don't. So I'm really glad that that happened, for what, and it should be done across the board, right? Because it's got to be where your rules are in play all the time according to your law, because your citizens should come first. The rights of your citizens should be above anybody else's. Even if I'm visiting your country, your rights are above my rights. And my rights are beneath your rights because I'm a visitor. Yeah, I have protections as a visitor, but if I commit a crime, I should be treated like a criminal. And this is what I think the leftist brain cell is that, like, and I used to be a leftist, right? You go, oh, everybody's got to be treated fairly and all this. And, but, got to have mercy, show mercy. I'm like, what happens when you show too much, when you like, when you don't balance the mercy with, with a bit of law and order and rights, what happens is people tread on you. They walk all over you. I've seen that in friendships. Like, seriously, I've seen that in friendships. If it happens in friendships and you put it to a law area, like, that sort of like a stage where it's a country's things, you're going to damage your country. And that's what you've seen like across the world right now. Europe is being damaged because of the whole mercy thing, right? You get the left of brains gets, oh, everybody's got to share everything. Oh, we got to open our doors to these pure people that we harm. No, the past has been, everybody harmed everybody in the past. We're all pagans, all heathens. We're all barbarians in the past. Look at India, man. It's still a shithole. Seriously, it's still a shithole. Yet we're in 2025. It's still a shithole because of their caste system. The rich and the religious right at the top, right? And I don't mean by right, but like at the top you got there the Brahmins, the political class, you know, the Bollywood stars, all that, and then at the bottom you got people on the farms don't even have toilets there, so there's shit everywhere. The streets, as it's down trout, running what, and they've never advanced that side of the country, right? Because once you're born in the caste, you're fucked. Your whole legacy of, you know, your, what is that, like your parent, your children's are in that. So what happens is about 1895, when Indians could escape that, they jumped on the boats with like, and not all of them, okay, some got tricked into it because I researched the shit, but like majority of them were like, yeah, let me get the hell out of here. Like I know from my family comes from a little village in India way back then, like what's like 1885, 1865, and one of my uncles actually traveled there and checked it out, right? It's like, yeah, you know, he didn't have much to say about it, right? Because we got to go to, like, our forebears came to Fiji, got married, and started a family so that we could have a better life. See, a lot of people these days don't think about that. They think, oh, how horrible it is that we have a phone in our hand, that we can't actually, you know, get cheap coffee. It's like, yo, back then they had to work 15-hour days. And now, you know, now everybody smokes weed for relax. They had to smoke weed to get rid of the pain back then. All right, because of being in the sun for 15 hours a day, like from like not all, you know, 15 hours in the sun, but I mean like from 5 o'clock in the morning to 5 at night or 9 at night sometimes. So they were all bent over working on the plantations, and this is Indians I'm talking about, not black Africans, right? And slavery and all that. I'm talking about after slavery. That still happened after slavery. Those people who were like going over, you know, being brought over after, you know, after the slaves are the cancellation of slavery by Britain, by buying all the slaves back, right? That nobody gives credit to Britain for. Britain actually bought all the slaves back so that Britain, you know, around the world, that they could be freed, right? But blacks don't understand that, right? Because they, you know, they don't even understand that their own people sold them out as well, right? They had tribes that sold them out. Like remember that what was that, like that movie that came out? They were very proud of. That turned out it was like a tribe that actually kidnapped people, other black tribe people from their tribes and sold them for money and muskets. Yeah. Anyway, back to this lady.
I didn't come with her. She asked me because she has worked at my home before.
She was my slave in Africa, so I brought her along to be my slave. Here, thank you.
Asked me.
There's no way, right? Columbia University's distinguished 2017 Human Rights Fellow was convicted of human trafficking and slavery in the UK. Before her conviction, she had been appointed to UN as a judge overseeing human trafficking and slavery cases. Well, it takes one to know one, because she knows what to look for. Forcing a young woman to work as a slave. I don't need anyone to work for me. I didn't come with her. She asked me because she worked at my home before. Yeah, that's the problem though, right? Enslaving a fellow African woman and trafficking her to the UK, then convicted of forcing a woman to work for her as a slave. Actually, wait a minute. I'm just realizing this. When did this originally happen? 2023. This isn't the fact that she got arrested. This is the part where they actually found that she was guilty.
2 years ago.
So they are like, she fucked around last year. This year now she's finding out. They gotta stop doing slavery, man. Yeah, they gotta stop that. Like, this slavery's bad. Don't they know this?
Yeah, white people bad, right? White people bad, right? White people bad. I love it. I like seeing all these, you know, there's like there is a video I'm gonna play from a black commentator, you know, YouTuber in Africa. There you go. Like, this is just crazy, man. Like, I'm trying to figure out how everything works here. So it's like there's about 10 different friggin' screens in front of me that you can pick on. And apologies for that. So yeah, so there's a black African commentator, male, right? And it's probably maybe 20s. And he talks about how it's about time that Africans just took responsibility for their own actions. Because And we will look at that when we come to future. We look at Africa again, and how for like it's been centuries, right? Like sometimes you got to take ownership of your own life and of your own, I guess your own village and own tribes, and stop killing each other, right? Like fighting over everything. Like maybe just stop trying to shoot each other and sell gold in the black market to buy more weapons to shoot each other again, or diamonds, or minerals, or oil. Maybe. Oh no, it's the black person's fault. Oh, no, it's the Indians. Oh no, it's the Chinese people's fault. Yeah, but the reason those people are there is because you guys were basically wanted to, be in charge and didn't want to do the work. So they had to bring other people in to do the work. And so those people worked hard and advanced, while you people just fought each other and then blamed the white man. And okay, yeah, there was issues with the Dutchies, right? And the Germans and all that, of course. However, that was like about 80, 90 years ago. But you guys chose socialism, right? Yeah, we got to go with the communism. That's the one that's going to work for us. So you decided to go along with that, and then you said, well, it's all the white people's fault. And the white people went like, hey, we're just working our asses off and hard, and we are gating ourselves because you guys are trying to kill us all the time. So white people left, and those who couldn't leave because they had farm, they got murdered, right? Their people got raped, the kids got raped, but they got murdered. Like now it's like, kill the Boer, kill the white people. It's like, if you're a country around the world, if you want to offer migrants room in your country, Africa isn't the ones you want to offer it to. You want to offer to the white people from Africa, the Indians from Africa, from the Chinese, the French, because those people work hard, right? Not to the black people who just like arrive illegally. No, the people who actually work hard, have money, and want to transfer to your country to get away from being murdered. All right. So I've the stories I've heard, man, from actual people, right? What they've gone through there. And because like it's like a total shithole. It's like what Ireland looks like right now, right? The streets, like it's just, there was a picture that guy was showing. There's a video, I should have shared that, but like just 10 years difference between 2014 and 2024 on the streets of Africa right now. It's just garbage everywhere, right? People just homeless and stuff within 10 years. And that's 10 years of white people just leaving, Indians just leaving, Chinese just leaving, right? Because they are killing each other. And then when they finish killing each other, they turn to everybody else. Or they kill everybody else and then they turn to each other. It's just like this whole tribal mentality never works. It's kind of like what happens with leftists, right? Once they start attacking everybody else, when they finish with the centrists, when they finish with the right, then they turn on themselves because they don't know anything else. They just there's like animals, caged animals. When you just let them out, they're like, rah, rah, everyone. It's like the whole thing with Tesla right now. It's like crazy, right? It's like, how are you destroying my vehicle and harming Elon? How are you destroying my property and think you're harming? I've already bought this. Elon's got his money. This is my property now, and you want to damage that? The brains in these people don't work. They don't connect. It's like, and the looks of some of them, man, it's like the crazy shit. The photos, man, you see the photos of them. This is a big. There's this fat dude on a old, like it's not even all terrain. It's kind of like a cart, and he's this black dude is like a tub of lard. It's like driving fast into this Tesla. If you wanted to buy a solid car, Tesla's what you want to buy. You don't want to buy any China shit. None of those electric vehicles like from China or anywhere else. Buy a Tesla, right? Everything passes. It's like kind of like that whole beer thing, right? Yeah, they learned their lesson. Now let's move on. But if the thing is like, it's like a freaking tank, right? You do that with any other vehicle, drive something in there with a fat dude, you're going, it'll be like dented. I've seen a car go under a truck as like in my 20s, right? When like talking about factory, when I was walking to my factory, I used to work as a 16, 17, 18-year-old. Like, wait, hold on. Yeah, from 17 to about 20 years old, I used to work in a factory as a biscuit packer, right? As a biscuit maker, whatever you want to call it. Biscuit cookies, right? For my American viewers. And so, we'd be there going, that's all you do, right? On one chain. And then on the next chain, you'll be like, okay, they'll be on a tray like this, right? So you'd have a tray with you pick about 6 biscuits. About 6. So they'll be like that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And then you like flip it so it's on an angle. And then you grab it and you chuck it into a bag, into a little beanie, or we used to call it beanie bag, like this, right? And you slide it into there side by side. So it's dozen a bit bag. 4 years of my life, right? But all that time, I was working my art. I was, relationship, buying comics, all that stuff. But I lost my train of thought. So with these guys, the whole mentality is like, you've got these, I lost my train of thought with the cookies, but it's like their brain is stuck in a factory, right? It's like, this is all like, attack. I can't attack Elon over there, so I got to attack him here. Now I got to attack his factory. Now I got to do this. It's like, the dude has already sold his cookies, right? He sold his cookies, man. The customers bought the cookies, and all you're doing is harming the customer. And it's not, he's got his money. And the other thing is, so I was going to say, like, everything passes. Like, we used to war with Germany, right? Past. They're our friends now. We used to reward Japan, friends now. Create most of our technologies, right? I mean, whatever have you comes out of there. So Sony, Sanyo, and all that. But I think, and so will this Tesla thing, right? But it's like, so I think, like, if you guys can afford it, go get a Tesla. I mean, not right now, but later, right? Because these morons will, once their brain rot is finished, because they just go from one thing to another thing. And that's the thing about the hive mind, is that there's someone out there going, this is what you do now. That's what you do now. That's what you do now. That's what you do now. And they go and do it. Like an individual person, and I'm all about the individual person, right? So when I'm talking about Islam and all that, I'm talking about the individual person, the person who is getting harmed by it, the people that are getting harmed by it, right? If I'm talking about Christianity, I'm talking about the people that are getting harmed by it. Like I did that thing with that, we did a whole series on the cult, right? The SGJ cult, and from coming out of Korea, like affecting our Pacific Island community in America and everywhere, right? Because they lie and they cheat and they keep you from knowing that they're a cult and that what they practice and stuff until you're all in, like the 8th level, right? And so it's easy to recognize cultist behavior when you look at the actual cult behaving the way they do. So, and this is why I think, like with leftists, they're in a cult, because they get to a stage where, like, this is what I got to do. This is what my leader is telling me to do. I must follow. I must attack. Who's the next one we got to attack? Oh, okay, let's go. Okay, enough attacking now? Yeah, okay, move on to the next one. Or sometimes I'll keep at it. It's crazy, right? Like, there's one cult I know, it's in comics right now called Comics Aid. I don't like to talk about them much, but it's very much a cult, right? And they have a cult of personality as well. Now, let's have a look at something a bit different. So, before we move on to the main topic. So this was the Columbia thing, right? And as you know, I always put the links in the chat so that you guys can, so you can always follow it up and know where it's, what we're watching later on. And also for me, like when I have time, I go to timestamp everything. All right. So this is CBN News, and I got about 2.31 million subscribers. And so this is them. Flip it down. There we go. Talking about Colombia, as we were talking about, mentioned earlier in the other video.
surrounding Columbia University's anti-Israel agitators has taken another dramatic turn, as the university has now started suspending and expelling students who took over campus buildings. Columbia Assistant Professor Shai Davidai joins us now with the details. Shai, what could you tell us about this move from the university?
First, we have to give credit where credit is due. For the past 17 months, I've been probably the most vocal opponent of this anti-Jewish, anti-Israel, and anti-American activity on campus. And I've been really outspoken about the university.
So here's the thing, right? It's an anti-American thing because these guys are basically, like I said, they're students. They have no right to, because especially the guy who's a leader, right, to do this on a campus. Because really, if it's got nothing to do with education on the campus or how a teacher is behaving towards a student or how students are behaving towards each other, or or the property is being like, I've actually been in a student protest, right? We had to sit in at our CEO, right? Well, whatever you want to call it, head of campus, whatever, way back 94, 95, maybe 95, right? Because the drama theater group's roof, like they had this barn, it used to be called the barn, was leaking and was damaged, and like they wouldn't fix it. And so the drama students who were right next to us with the art campus facility came up and said, "Hey man, like, can you guys help us, extend our voice a bit more? And we're going to do this protest. Can you come in with us and do a sit-in? That's all we're going to do. We're just going to sit in, right?" And that's what we did. We just went into the, opened the door and went in. Hey, look, receptionist, let us in. We're just going to do peacefully. We'll sit in. I was actually on the front cover of the local paper, because there. So I understand protesting. There's a right way to protest. There's a wrong way to protest. And it's big, and like I said earlier, when that late, with the Asmongold video, that if you're a student of that thing, you have a right to talk about that facility and what's going on that campus, about education, the facilities, the teachers, not about some political shit that's going over somewhere else. Because your parents are paying $100,000 or more US, which is like about 160,000, whatever it is, right? New Zealand. It's always 1.6 or 1.5 or 1.7. It's around that, to currency exchange with New Zealand. So your parents, or you took a loan or whatever, worked hard for it. The last thing you want to do is have your school time disrupted by some morons talking about some other shit that's got nothing to do with them. Even way back in 60s when they're protesting about the Vietnam War, what has that got to do with the education or your campuses? It's like, go on the street and do it. Why are you doing it at the school, right? The other thing is, it's so frustrating to see how much airtime this sort of shit gets, because then it gives other people with a lame brain, with the virus, to go out and do it elsewhere on their campuses. Because, see, the leftists love to be very vocal with very small topics they can come up with. They like to inflate it, but really, when you really look at how many people are actually against it and for it, not many. It's like 1% of the entire world be like, okay, or maybe say 3%, right? It's kind of like the whole gay people thing. It's like 1.6% of the world is gay, right? Or falls into LGBT, but they conflate it so much that you think that it's like must be 1 in every 3 people, right? Because I know in my community here, I know how many people are gay, right? Because how many people actually go to certain events, right? And there might be, maybe a handful or 2, maybe a dozen that don't. Actually, there might be actually twice as many who actually don't go to those facilities or events because they just wanted to live their life, or don't even believe in that shit or that sort of activity. They just want, I just want to be left alone with my relationship or whoever I'm with, and you do your shit. And that's like this with all the shit here. It's like, but the media loves to conflate it too much. And they like to, and most of these people will call up the media. They have context in the journalism and stuff, and they'll conflate it, right? So they get certain people in the media to actually get in there and talk about it more, like write blogs about it, like, yeah, make it really like there's millions of us are like for this. When you really think about it, there isn't. But it's like it's what they call like the vocal minority, But really, at the end of the day, it's one or two people just agitating with connections that they've got to the media, and the media needs something to talk about every day because otherwise nobody would watch them. See, when I wake up, I just turn on YouTube. I haven't watched TV in years because I just go, oh yeah, there's about 10, probably about 20 different things on my thing. Oh, music. Oh, that dude's live streaming. Yeah, okay, let's go watch that. Okay, comics. Yep. Oh, there's a trailer for a movie. Okay, I get to pick and choose what I want to watch within the first 10, 20 minutes of me waking up. Oh no, I had a song in my head. Okay, you know what? Or Facebook. I went up to Facebook. They said that there was like this guy posted about how great Jason Newsted was on like the album that I didn't actually like, but I loved him on And Justice for All, right? With the Metallica album. And he was really amazing on the bass on that. But they were talking about like My Friend in Misery, how it starts. So let me show you this little, video from that, from Leo. Since we're talking about that. And the other thing you got to realize about me is that I segue a lot because otherwise I forget. So this is it Leo Druzy? I think it was Leo Druzy, my friend. And so I popped on, right? And I was like, because I like to watch bass tapes because I have a bass. I don't actually play guitar, though I did, right? And I can, but like I like, bass. So the guy talked about how like, Jason Newsted should be recognized an amazing bass player, which he is. And I was like, oh, what was that song? So I went and checked it out because it's been a while since I heard it, right? So now have a listen to the intro to this. And if I can work this freaking stream out again. Nope. Going to my computer. I don't want you to go to my computer. Here we go. So this, right? So because I was, I follow suit because that's how I learned how to play is by tablature. I've never played it by, learning music, even though when I was like 12 or something, we had music classes, couldn't understand it. I couldn't tell you what bar is what, but I know what that is, right? The 10th fret on the G string, right? So this is this really sorrowful intro, right, to a very kind of depressing song, but the bass is the intro to it. Is that cool or what? Like, this is what I mean. I love living this timeline. I could just turn on my internet or turn on YouTube. There's a dude showing you how to play a bass to a song. So that link is in the chat for that. So let's get rid of that. So this is why everybody's saying legacy media is dead, because most of us who actually don't actually watch TV know a lot more about what's going on in the world than people that watch TV. I've spoken to people that they watch TV and that's all they know, and their brain is like, oh, this is what's going to happen. I'm like, do you realize that I spend my time researching what's going on online all the time, but I don't talk to you guys about it because I like to keep up like my personal life out away from my whatever this is, right? Because otherwise I don't want this to be part of my real life, right? And the other way is this is just fun for me. But so when I'm spending time with people, I don't like spend all my time talking about what I am doing because it's just boring. I mean, talking about yourself, right? So this is what I think, like this generation, this timeline, we have access to the greatest, information around, like not the greatest, but like the most information around to teach ourselves. So the people that actually watch legacy media, so-called, TV, listen to radio, they don't really know what's actually going on around the world. What they get is a soundbite, and it's kind of sad because they're still living in the past way of doing things and not living in the now way of doing things. But the other side of that is like people who are living the now side of things are ruining things for other people. And I'll tell you what, especially YouTubers. So I'm going to pop away from this for a bit, but the link's in the chat for that. And I will. Okay, man, this new setup is really annoying. There we go. Here we go. So this is what happened just this morning, right? This is 3 hours ago. I love Asia. Is it Asia Now? Yeah, Asia Now. This is an amazing dude. He's not amazing dude. He's an expat living in Philippines from Canada, and of course he's not white, right? From Canada, so which kind of gives you another kind of a outsider view on what's going on. And this dude is very cool. Like, I mean, not like his video news stuff is really good. So I'll share a lot of them, and what he talks about, because I like to cover Asia. I mean, I like to cover the world, right? On our channel here. So this is what went down. Where are we? There we go.
And in this video, I'll tell you about an entitled foreign YouTuber disrespects locals and their business, viral road rage incident, and what the suspect has to say. Reports that FBI agents on trafficking cases in the Philippines were paid for female companionship, update on the Filipinos arrested in Qatar, and much more, starting with two viral stories in the Philippines I didn't really want to cover, but I think it's important now since a couple of you guys asked, and I think I just can't escape them. Let me just show you the first video.
This is the Reformation Fair. So, if we're already there, we're going to be practicing in 5 minutes to understand how to take off the boards using our knees. So this is like most important. Okay? With some accidents, okay?
Look at this dude, man.
Oh, we still going? Yeah, done. Go, let's go.
I'm just
I'm joking with you. Come on, boss.
No. I'm just saying. So if you're already there now at the designated area, we're teaching also.
Let's go, boss. Let's go.
Now we need to.
The dude's telling you the safety of the waters in his country. See, I've mentioned this previously. I've been caught in rips. I've actually almost drowned, like close to drowning several times, because I'm a hyperactive person, and I don't, I guess in a way that, like, in my youth, I didn't put barriers on what I could and could not do. Like, I didn't, I just did whatever I wanted to do. Like, if I wanted to climb a rock face, I would. No ropes, no, whatever they call it. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. But for abseiling, right? I've done abseiling and all that, but like sometimes lunacy in my brain would go, oh yeah, I can do that. Let's go. And then I go, oh shit, how am I going to get down? And like for half an hour going, if I go there, I am going to fall into my death, or there, and like, okay, just calm down, and just stand there for half an hour going, peace, meditating, right? Like calming yourself down, going, I don't want to die right now, plunge to my death on rocks below. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. You get there, right? And and drowning. Like I remember, like in Fiji, being with my friends, and my friends were somewhere else, and I'm like walking into this river that we never walked into, and it's like a creek that expanded, and I just went straight down. Like it was like a black hole, man. Like it wasn't like this, and like it was only like probably about how wide was that? Maybe 20 meters wide, and it was just black. Like it went from green, kind of like, it's like a river with a green because of the sunlight and the trees over, so it was a blackish green. And I just went down, and I'm like, is this my death right now? And this is the thing, like if you don't know areas overseas, and the locals telling you, and you're making this sort of weird noises, you're a shithead. Because he knows that there might be something out there that you need to know to protect you as someone who doesn't know his country, right? And I'm like me, Fiji. I nearly drowned twice in Fiji, right? And that was like when I was like 12, 13 years old. And then also here, nearly drowned twice here. And this beach got caught on a rip twice, And it's just, you just don't know and like, oh, you got to swim across this. I'm like, oh, okay. And then like you get, you don't realize, and then like suddenly you get pulled underneath from a rip underneath, and you don't, you're gone. And I remember this big, huge Maori dude, like who was my youth leader at that time, comes in, grabs me and pulls me out. I'm like, and my head's like remembering the fact that because of the rip, like I was getting pulled towards the rocks, which were like to my right, and where we were, all of us were, it was like in front of the beach, which was where it was all sandy, but over here usually it's the way in New Zealand, like there's rocks right next to the freaking beaches, and I'm into the sand, right? And so we're getting pulled over to there, and I'm getting pulled towards there, and he realizes, like, why isn't Aru up yet, right? Why isn't it come up yet? And he realized that he dives in, pulls me out while I'm getting smashed on the sand, because I just can't. I'm going around and around, getting rolled underneath, getting myself smashed on the bottom of the friggin' sand. I mean, off the beach, whatever you want to call it, the water, right? Smashed over and over on the sand, and I'm like I must have been like 14, 15 at the time. Like I'm still skinny like this, but I was way smaller, but still skinny. Actually more skinny than this, and I just don't have the strength to keep fighting it. And like that's why I was like down there for so long, and I don't even know how long. And he pulls me up, and I'm going, he said, you shouldn't be over there. I was like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know, I got caught, but like, yeah, like dude saved my life, right? But this is why I found this really horrible, because the way this guy's treating a native who knows about that, and you don't, because that's his job, because he knows that anything happens to this idiot, right? This moron here, he's in trouble. Because whenever something happens to a tourist or a foreigner, they come down hard on the local businesses. The great thing here is this moron is being taped, treating this guy like this. So if he goes out and dies, this guy's protected. And that's the other thing, right? At the moment, everybody should have, like, if you have a vehicle, if you have a car, get a dash cam. Seriously, get a dash cam. Get a camera for your car, bro. Because at the moment, people are like, I saw this video where these guys were trying to like pull up in front of somebody and smash their car into them, right? So that they would, say, oh, you smashed into me, now we can get you insurance to pay us our cars. Seriously, man, people are like nutcases out there.
To learn first the technique of this kind of boards.
Wow, okay.
Okay, sir.
Oh, yeah, teach me.
Probably some accidents, because sometimes we're just like.
Imagine that being a family member doing this to somebody overseas like this, treating them like this. How would you feel? Or being this dude's, working his ass off, because listen, what is it, Philippine currency right now, right? This is the other thing that Americans don't understand, or foreigners don't understand in other countries, the currency rate. So where are we? Currency, time zones. Here we go, currency. So US dollar to Philippines, right? Peso. Yeah, Philippines peso, PHP, right? Is what? $1 is 57 cents, right? So $1 US is 57.21 cents pesos, right? Now I'm going to try this other thing because I want to find out like what is that in New Zealand, because it'll give me, give you an idea of how, yeah, dude, I thought so. $1 New Zealand is 32 cents Philippines peso. That is shit. This dude is working for 32 cents New Zealand. And this a-hole is treating him like that. $0.57 US. It doesn't really make sense, but like it makes sense in the sense like if you transfer it to us, what you're saying, we get 21, like our minimum wage here is about 23.50 an hour. Let me just try this. So like what's the, let me get my, how much, what is the normal, what is it? Hey, there we go. What is the average? That's the word I was looking for, average. What is the average wage per hour? Average wage per hour in Philippines. Okay. What is that in American dollars? What is that in American dollars? So they're saying it's about approximately 1.191. So here's so the average, using exchange rate, the average hourly wage of 1 peso is like 191, converts to approximately $3.33 USD, and the hourly wage of 105 converts to $1.83 US. So this dude is humiliating a dude who's getting $1.83 an hour US for likes, for whatever. This is why I hate kind of like IRL. Not all, right? I know there's some decent people out there who do live streaming, but this is why I despise people like this dude who do live streaming, like RL live stream, right, in real life, for clout, harass people, because they don't understand local people. I mean, like foreign, when you go to foreign lands, like that idiot Johnny Somali, right, and the other idiot who got murdered because he was just stupid, right, that other American, right, Kevin, whatever his name was, that we covered last year, because don't listen to the locals, right? The locals are there to tell you for your own freaking safety and your own protection so that you can go back to your country, experience the life healthy and well. Like I've told you before, right, how my parents, my mum and my uncles protected me from going on a night out, totally intoxicated, going clubbing, by pouring a glass of water on my pants, on my crotch area, so that she can tell me, oh, you just peed your pants, now go to sleep. Because I was so intoxicated, because at that time I was taking a lot of medication for my, for my spine damage and my neck injuries and stuff like that, for my car accident. And so that was the only way that my mum could see in her head to stop me from going out and keep me in bed, because I was just so, revved up, because she knew that if I went out, I would probably end up dead or injured or something. It wasn't going to be good, because it's not a good time to go out at night at 11 o'clock in Fiji, right? It's like just criminals just walk the streets, right? It's really not good. And she knew that, and my uncles knew that. You know, my family was all there around me. I remember seeing them around me going, "Go do bad. You can't go," you know, like. And then mom goes, "Give me a water." And I could hear her say, "Give me a glass of water." I was like, goes like, "Oh, is that for me, mom?" Go, "Yeah." And then she grabs it and like pours it on me. And I remember like waking up going like, "What's going on?" The next day, "Oh, yeah, nothing." They just, but I remember it, right? Because I have a really weird memory thing. But yeah, and you can't just like be like when you're in some other country, like everything's going to be fine, right? Because they have certain set of rules. They know their country better, and if you do things, you're going to get in shit. I had a friend like we went to Fiji a couple of years back, right? Like, and he was like, "Oh, because like the locals wanted us to go over and hang out at their village," and I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, come on, bro!" Like, I'm like, "No, I don't know them. I don't know their village. We're not going there because we're night clubbing. You know, we're drinking at a pub, and pub that my granddad used to drink at." So I was like, you know, felt really like kind of full circle type thing, you know. And we're out there, and everybody's having a cool time, just drinking and enjoying ourselves. And because, oh, you know, because my friend was white, right? So there was like, yeah, like this dude kind of didn't understand you're in foreign land, and like, yeah, not everybody is gonna have your best interest when you're overseas. And even those who do, you might step on their toes without realizing it. So you got to stay in your lane because safety first. And that's one thing that you got to really think about when you're overseas: safety first and respect, right? The two things, safety and respect. And because you don't know nothing when you go overseas, you're not in your own country. Your own country's rules do not apply overseas, right? I don't know how, you know, how to like implant that into your head, guys, if you're watching this whenever in the future, wherever, you know, replay or whatever. But the two things you got to remember when you're overseas is respect and safety, because people don't always have your best interest, right? They don't even have that in your own country, so why would they have it overseas? Because, you know, especially if a foreigner and if you're not local, and they can suss you out that you're not local. Like in Fiji, they don't think I'm Indian. They don't. The moment I open my mouth and speak, they straight away go, "Where are you from?" Because I just don't speak like them. Like the accent and everything just is wrong to them. They know my behavior, the way I carry myself is not like them, because they're very kind of very conservative in the way, and like not, you know, in the American or, you know, European or Western sort of conservative, very conservative in the way they dress. Like if you go to town in Fiji, you have to have long sleeves on, like a shirt, and it's freaking hot in Fiji, dude. Like it's so hot. If it's in the summertime, you're like in a sauna, and I'm like, can I not? No, you're going to town. You're gonna have trousers on. You go like, okay, then I'll go on my own. Okay, you can dress how you want. But if you're coming with us, right? My cousin's like, if you're coming with us, you're dressing nice. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Because they have to live there when you're gone, right? And the other thing is like when you buy stuff that's there, not everything that you buy there is going to work well when you come back home, you know, to your own country. I've realized that over time when I'm bought stuff, I'm like, yeah, that looked really cool when I was there wearing it. Now I don't like feel like wearing it, right? So I've just wasted my money. So usually if you're traveling overseas, buy something that you can wear back home. And if you're buying just to wear there, that's fine. But, you know, leave it behind, right? Give it away to somebody if you know the locals. Just go, yeah, here you go, right? Because like I said, like this dude like is ruining the guy's day for $1.83 US.
Yeah.
So knees position is always in this area.
Yeah. Oh, you want me on my knees? Huh? Like this?
Knees position.
Like that? Okay. How do you want me? Okay.
Position. Okay.
Yeah.
So kneeling position is always in this area.
And
then how to understand how to play the boards using your knees, so you need to do like leaning backward.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Forward.
Okay. So you want me to like ride you like a reverse cowgirl? Okay.
So lean backward. Then but for tearing, you need to do like leaning your body on side by side.
Oh, so you want to put it sideways?
I would
Okay.
seriously, if I was standing next to him, I'd seriously slap him. Or kick sand in his face. Because this is a tool, and I mean like a human person. He's a tool, right? That, you know, it's like so disrespectful, man. Like the guy's doing his job because that's what he's supposed to do. That's his business probably as well. Working for $1.83 US an hour. So he's probably going to be working 10 hours a day to make that, you know, was it like $10? No, $20 a day to feed his family, feed himself. This is what I realized when I was in Fiji. It was like they were getting $2 an hour. And like I was mentioning, that pub I went to, I was told off, not told off, but, you know, gently told off by the waitress or the barman, I think it was. Hey, don't show too much of your money around. And I know you're from New Zealand, and I know that this is just normal for you because you come from there, and this sort of, I've been to New Zealand. He goes like, so I understand, but here these people are working for $2 an hour, and so when they see like just behaving normal like you would do back home, you're basically you're making them look like shit. Not in so that many words that way, but basically that's what I meant. Like, hey, just chill out. And I'm like, oh, I was just going to buy a jug. Okay, yeah, but just calm down a bit because you're not in New Zealand anymore, right? You're here in Fiji, and there's it's cultural norms, right? But look at this dude, man. I don't know. This is what it offends me so much to see this, right? Because because this dude has had to buy all this shit and spend all this thing with a little, that $2 an hour, less than $2 an hour that he's worked his ass off to get to, save up and all that, whatever he's got to do to get that. And you've got this American, right? And there's been Aussies, there's been British, there's been Europeans, there's been Germans who've done this as well, right? In poor countries, because Philippines is poor, right? And also the other thing, Philippines is a very conservative country, Catholic more. There's a lot more Catholics there because I've had a friend who was from Philippines, and I know people who are from Philippines, so they're very conservative and stuff. And this dude here is treating him like he's like almost like stripping down, twerking, whatever he wants to do, like. It's like he thinks it's a porn site, a porn thing, right?
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
And this dude's got patience, like, yeah. And he's probably thinking in his head, why do I have to, okay, I got to work to keep my calm and keep my cool and put up with this moron because this is my livelihood. I can't punch him, right? And tell him to go because everybody else watching, we're like, they'll think I'm the bad guy, right? So he's got a lot of patience.
For standing position, don't try to stand up like quickly. So you need to do like step by step how to stand up properly. It's up to you if you're riding like normal.
See, the other thing is like, he's like, oh, I know everything. Maybe he does, but that's got nothing to do with this. It's like when you get on a plane, right? I know what to do in a plane because I've been in several times, but you always watch the instructions because some planes are different. And there might be something that's changed in the new time that you've been in the last 10 years, right? That is different to what it was 10 years ago. So you got to pay, because otherwise you'll end up dead when the plane falls, right? And, out of the sky or whatever, or something happens. So you got to pay attention. It's like in a car. It's like, oh, I've driven all this time down this road. And then next thing you know, something pops out around the corner. It's like a cat jumps out. Boom, you crashed.
Goofy. Okay, so for Goofy, so while you're pressing the trigger to have that constant speed, hold.
What is...
And the other thing here is like this dude has actually learned a second language, right? And this moron probably doesn't know anything to speak other than English. and he probably knows how to speak more than one language. Right? I mean, of course, he knows how to speak Filipino, and what was it, Spanish? I think Filipinos speak Spanish as well as their own native language. So that's like, dude probably knows 3 languages, and this moron, is like actually not paying attention, and so he's, yeah.
You're saying now you're going too fast.
Okay, so while if you want to stand up,
Yeah, that's enough of that dude. I just thought that was stupid. Like, I mean, not stupid, but like, now there was something here. Yeah, this one, right? You guys watch the links in the chat, of course, as always, and you can watch the rest of that. But this one's kind of interesting.
In Southeast Asian countries, including the Philippines, engaged.
Here we go. So let me pop back up here.
Emotions is one of those things. Next up, FBI agents assigned in Southeast Asian countries, including the Philippines, engaged in companionship encounters with women who do it for a living professionally. I gotta watch what I say here. By local law enforcers, a U.S. Department of Justice watchdog revealed. The report, released on March 27th and cited by the New York Times, detailed incidences of FBI employees paying or accepting favors and services during social events with local police in several Southeast Asian countries, including the Philippines. These activities reportedly occurred between 2009 and 2018. One specific case involved FBI agents in Manila in 2018. That's kind of recent, where they allegedly accepted professionals paid by the local law enforcement agencies. However, the report.
So remember how like the FBI in that time was run by Biden and Obama, and how they didn't want to hand over such and certain things, and they were targeting Trump and all that. Yet here they were like getting, prostitutes as favors from the locals, local politicians and whatever have you, officers, police, I should say, not politicians, local, law officers. Isn't it like, yeah, isn't it why? And this is the other thing about this. There's a misunderstanding and not understanding of the average American about what's happened overseas with their foreign interactions of their own American officials. With Doge, you guys found out a lot about how they were using American taxpayer money to manipulate our countries. I know this because in 2011, I think was. I get those dates messed up. That's when I had my head injury. So around about, I think it was about that, there was like an internet blackout in New Zealand, which was like America was going to give $50 million. And I don't know who was in charge at the time, but was going to give $50 million to the New Zealand government to control our internet. Right? That's $50 million. I think, I'm not sure if it was New Zealand million dollars or what, was going to give that to our government to control our ISPs to what we could watch on the internet, or what we could connect to, what sites we could visit, and who we could connect to, or whatever, talk to, right? Control our internet, whatever, and access, I should say. Yeah, $50 million. That's a lot of money for New Zealand. Yet they want to do that and put that into place in our country using US tax dollars. And also remember when like Kim, I can't remember his last name, but Kim, right? Kim.com, with Mega, right? Mega.com, or whatever it was called. And how they came into New Zealand and took, raided his house with all his agents and helicopters with his kids. And New Zealand, we're very different on, as somebody shows up, hey, what's going on, right? You don't show up with weapons and things and all that. Right? Even if a cop shows up, 2 or 3, you say, what's up, dude? And they were there like they were raiding, like they would do in America, where locals would have like machine guns, right? That's probably the least, so far from anybody's brain, especially, like someone like Tim.com living in his mansion, right? Enjoying, the peace and quiet of New Zealand life. And they basically were going to do that. And this is the thing that like a lot of people from America don't understand, why foreign countries kind of like don't really like Americans that much because of what their foreign affair or interventions and stuff has done to control other nations. And especially, you look at South America, like I did a whole lot of like 70-year research and history of South America and American CIA interactions there, like killing people, killing leaders, democratic leaders, people that people voted for, killing priests, nuns, tribes, like elders and stuff, just wiping them out because, hey, that way we could get access to whatever. So this is that's why I brought this up, because of the FBI thing. And I didn't even know this was going to be on here, but like it came up at the start, right? So like this is what like a lot of people don't understand who are Americans, what their country has done over the years, decades, and with this one recently, with under Biden and all the Democrats and stuff, to control their narrative to gain favors in our countries around the world. See, you never, like, if you're trying to make friends, you never hold a knife behind your back, or you don't sort of like hold something over people's heads. Right? Sure, that other person might have some ulterior motives, but you go in, kindness, right? It's something that Chinese don't do anymore. I mean, don't do, no, they're using money to do that now. Now, just today, I learned that Venezuela is screwed. They've been like for years now, they've had to give over their oil to China because they're a socialist communist country who got in bed with China, and China gave them lots of millions of dollars, or tens of, lots of millions, right, hundreds of millions of dollars, and now they can't pay back the loan. So all this oil from from Venezuela is getting shipped to China, like 500. I think it was 500,000 barrels or something of oil a year. And you go, well, why is Venezuela, a country rich in oil, not in so much debt? Oh, because their politicians make it. Socialists do these deals, right? Because they're corrupted. Most socialists are corrupted deep down, right? Because they're not pragmatic. They don't think about other people. They think about, how do I get ahead quickly? And there are some, on the right who do that as well. But I mean, you can always check them out, right? Figure them out pretty quickly. But the lefters, they're like, oh yeah, guys, it's the people. We're trying to be socialists. We're trying to like help everybody. But usually they're lining the pockets, like Africa, right? We looked at the one with China, how all the politician class of and diplomats of Africa get all their kids into China, and all their kids are, they over there get comfort women, comfort girls, to hang out with them parties and stuff, just like these dudes. That kind of worked. Interesting segue, right? So just like these dudes, these FBI guys, right?
Did not specify which agency was involved. Beyond this incident, the New York Times noted similar misconduct by FBI personnel in other Asian countries, but did not provide further details about Manila or the Philippines. Other allegations outlined in the DOJ Inspector General's investigation summary included 5 FBI employees soliciting that kind of stuff while deployed overseas, working on trafficking cases. One employee reported providing a colleague with a package containing approximately 100 white pills to deliver to a foreign law enforcement office. In another incident, karaoke bar outing escalated into questionable behavior when employees were handed room keys or numbered papers tied to hotels with a supervisor present during the event. At one point, 2 employees sharing a room engaged in adult activities with professionals who get paid to do that kind of stuff. Look, man, single men, they have like obviously urges. I don't know what I'm getting with this, but my point.
My brain just went to because like I've a couple of years ago I was writing a TV series, like 30-minute TV series, but before that I wrote a whole 190-page script, which we're going to look at turning into a comic book. Almost finished the first issue, and then the artist bailed on me, right? So I'm like waiting around till I get enough money. So because there's an artist whose artwork is really similar in style, who I'm hoping to hire back and go, hey, can you finish this for me? It was going to be an 8-page, well, 8-issue comic book about, this kind of like this hitman type thing who went to Fiji. And I remember like just that brought me to brain where he, at one point he hires a prostitute, local prostitute, to come, comfort him that night. And that just reminded me like of being this dude being from a foreigner, being, being in Fiji, it's like for the night, calls up, or talk to somebody at a bar and they say, yeah, well, here's who you can ring if you want one. If you want some lady for the night or for a couple hours, whatever. This sort of behavior, right? This sort of behavior when you do this sort of, when your countryman is doing this stuff overseas, these terrible things, they don't see you as an individual at that point. If you're the terrible person doing this, they see you like, oh, all Americans are like this. Oh, all FBI agents are like this, and so on. And that's why, like, if you are traveling overseas, like I said earlier, respect and safety. There was check out Asian Now's channel, man. Good guy, a lot of good stuff, good quick videos, like not like me talk for 3 hours, whatever, and covers a lot of very important stuff when it's got to do with like Asia and very short like newsworthy stuff. And he's talking like recently there was a young girl who went along, I think she was French or something, went along with 2 guys to drink, right? Murdered, raped, tourist. So that's why, like, I've always, like, when I've been on this channel, I've always talked about, like, how, and even before we changed to this, right, that, like, if you're overseas, safety is paramount, and don't go along with strangers that you don't know, and always, watch where you are, right, because you don't know who is going to target you for what, right? My dad, when we were in Fiji, was it like this lady was telling him, because I was just having coffee, said like these guys broke into our hotel room and took everything. Like, and this is a high class hotel. These 2 young girls were traveling by themselves in Fiji, gone. All their photos and everything. And by the way, I've mentioned this earlier before, I was one of those shitheads who did that to these tourists, right? When I was like 15 or 14. And I've always hated myself for doing that, because my dad, like, how could you do that, right? Like, because it was just like this whole setup that just went wrong, and like I don't even know why I did it at that point. It was like, why did I even do it? Is it because I was trying to, it's like that whole peer pressure shit, or what the fuck was it? And I've always despised myself for that sort of behavior as a kid. Like I've always said, I used to be a shithead, right? As a child, I was a teenager, right, and younger. But it's like I said, like you guys got to be mindful of your property, be mindful when you're overseas. You just don't know who's going to target you for whatever shithead reason they have, right? And it's just, people are losing lives overseas, and it's like, and yet people are not learning. They're not learning at all. Like, you're not in your own country, man. Like, stop behaving like, some of your countries are dangerous, man. Right? I've seen, like I said, I do a lot of research because it's all to go into my writing, right? And when I'm writing, so the characters actually have something to talk about, or write, live through whatever their experiences. So when it comes to the paper, when people are reading the story, they actually say, oh, this is a rounded character, or this is why the character's behaving the way it is. Anyway, so do be careful if you're traveling overseas. Do be respectful, and be mindful of your own safety and others, right? Especially if you're driving around or whatever on the street, and always like watch your pocket. All right. Okay. So, geez, we're already an hour and a half into this. All right. Now, here's something that's very interesting. Well, Australia. So recently, Australia they tobacco, would you believe? Because everybody got like the crazy thing is everybody's into vape. Like I used to be a tobacco smoker for years, right? Decades. And I quit about 3 years ago. Yeah, I think it's years go fast when you get old, man. And so I stopped, I even planted tobacco because that's, I thought that would be cheaper to do that and grow it. But so that one, see, look at this. It's driving me crazy, this whole new setup. There we are. Okay. So Australia is having a gang warfare over tobacco because everybody's going to vape and all that stuff. Like there's about 5 vape stores in our little city. And I'm like, why is that many that's needed? Because everybody's like, that's a push, right? And here's another thing. I used to vape as well, try to thing, and I realized that it wasn't helping me quit. So I just went cold turkey. And that's the only way I think it was in a month, I only smoked once. And that was because I was really stressed out because there was some crazy shit going on down here. And this is during COVID, right? So it must be about 2022. And so it's been 3 years. And that was the only time I smoked. Was the one time I was rushing everywhere. Where's some cigarette? Where is it? Where is it? You know how you get if you're addicted to something. I was actually my neighbors, and I thought my neighbors smoked because I've never smoked, dude. It's like, where's the smell coming from then? And but yeah. So this is what's happening in Aussie. Let me get the little link there. And here we go.
Amongst all the numbers being bandied about last night was the cost of the escalating tobacco wars, a whopping $7 billion as the illegal market flourishes around the country. But police have made a sizable dent in one operation that's linked to a notorious Sydney crime family, seizing 1.4 tonnes in raids across the city.
Police search warrant, open the door!
A knock on the door from detectives at dawn. Police swarmed 7 homes in Sydney's southwest. What they claim was a massive hit to one of the city's top crime clans.
Effectively, they've lost, tens of millions of dollars that they would use for other criminal enterprises.
The raid spanning 6 suburbs. Police seized almost 1.4 tonnes of tobacco and cigarettes, estimated to be worth more than $500,000.
The people that we arrested yesterday are links to Alameddine and the KVT, organised crime networks, but that's not to suggest it's not broader than that.
Among the arrests, rapper Nasanova, accused of attempting to steal a vehicle from a tobacco delivery driver. His co-accused, Samim Azari, in court today. The 26-year-old walked out by police shirtless in Maryland's yesterday. In the same suburb, cops swooped in on convicted killer Imad Sleeman, the 47-year-old charged with directing the activities of a criminal group, which includes a break and enter at a Condell Park business where a man's toe was severed.
How does your client feel about...
So how's that? The usual suspects, right? Crime family. Was it 1 point something tons, she said earlier? I was just trying to look for that video for Iran because we're going to move on to that next. But she said something about 1 something ton of tobacco.
In raids across the city. In raids across the Sydney crime family, seizing 1.4 tonnes in raids across.
That's a lot of tobacco. That's, hold on. Because I used to work with tiles, so I'm trying to say because each, my boss's ute, because he's traveled to Auckland, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours each way to go empty and come back with a ton because that's all this ute could cover. And I'm like, that's heavy, man, because I remember having to carry 60 kgs like this of tiles, flooring tiles and wall tiles, each box. And I'm like, if that's only one brick of a lot. Tons, man. That's shit, that's a lot of, that's holy hell. That could be Because tobacco isn't that weighted, right? I mean, that's not that heavy, especially when it's dried out. That could fill this room, like, or maybe could fill a house. Shit. But yeah, the usual suspect, right? Yeah. 1.4 tons, tobacco and cigarettes.
Banning 6 suburbs, police seized almost 1.4 tonnes of tobacco and cigarettes, estimated to be worth more than $500,000.
The people that we arrested yesterday are links to Ellen Medine and the KVT, organised crime networks, but that's not to suggest it's not broader than that.
Among the arrests, rapper Nasanova, accused of attempting to steal a vehicle from a tobacco delivery driver. His co-accused, Samim Azari, in court today. The 26-year-old walked out by police shirtless in Maryland's yesterday. In the same suburb, cops swooped in on convicted killer Imad Sleeman. The 47-year-old charged with directing the activities of a criminal group, which includes a break and enter at a Condell Park business where a man's toe was severed.
How does your client feel about the charges? Well, Sleeman will stay behind bars until his next court date. Mr. Azari was today granted bail. In the meantime, police say their probe is far from over and that organised crime groups will face the full force of the law.
Police are now hunting 20 people spotted fleeing a storage unit holding $10 million worth of tobacco in December. Only last night, the Treasurer revealed how much this...
$10 million of tobacco.
illegal trade is costing us $7 billion.
So there's a substantial investment in compliance and enforcement trying to rectify the bottom falling out of tobacco excise.
The illegal tobacco market, as it stands today, is actually a national crisis. It's a big problem, but I don't think the federal government is doing enough to be able to stamp this out.
Hannah Taylor for 10 News First.
The usual suspects, people. It's usually the way, right? Okay. So let me just check if there's anything else I had planned, and then we can move on to Iran. Oh, yeah, this. Hero. This dude.
Troy and Kanan were just stopping for a hot dog and soda when they walked into a nightmare. A mother and her 3 young children, ages 9, 2, and 1, were waiting for an Uber when a man, 22-year-old Daniel Arroyo Beltran, suddenly grabbed the arm of her 2-year-old child and demanded she let go. Terrified, the mother ran into the gas station with her kids, hoping for help. But Beltran wasn't going to give up that easily. He chased them into the store, attacking 2 female workers and a man who tried to stop him. No one could get him to stop until someone stepped in with the perfect move. Enter Kanan Bauer, a 16-year-old wrestling champion. At 6 feet 2 inches tall and 250 pounds of muscle, Kanan wasn't afraid. He walked straight up to the kidnapper, picked him up from behind, and body slammed him to the ground.
I grabbed him from behind and pulled him out into the open area of the store and put him on his back.
Kanan didn't stop there. He held Beltran in a chokehold, keeping him pinned to the ground until the police arrived. Thanks to his quick thinking and incredible strength, he stopped a dangerous man from hurting anyone. Troy, Kanan's father, said, "Kanan saved many lives today.
Yeah.
We're so proud of him."
Exactly.
His mother, Kara, added that Kanan has always been humble, even after all the praise he received. Despite all the attention, Kanan stayed humble, saying he didn't beat the guy up. He just used his wrestling skills to keep him safe until the police arrived. Beltran now...
I was thinking like he should have just got some punches in, man. Like, you hurting kids? You hurting, woman? Yep. You're going to kidnap them? Yeah, I'm going to, get some in. Get some licks in. But he didn't because, hey, he did what he, yeah. And like, here's the thing, right? So that dude, like, I was just reminded of that guy, I can't remember his name, but like in the subway, right? And he got punished. And that's the liberal hive mind. It's like, oh, you shouldn't do that sort of stuff. Oh, well, what, should let people get harmed? This is the whole thing, like, how all these immigrants, illegals, I shouldn't say immigrants, illegals, aliens are getting removed from America, and that should be done across the world, right? If you're illegal, you should be removed from the country, right? Unless you've got papers in the works that's been sorted, and if you haven't sorted your papers, well, bye-bye. But you got all these people trying to help them. Like I saw this thing was like this dude was saying, if ICE shows up, kill them. Wait, so you're telling people that they should shoot the citizens of your country? That these illegal a-holes are there? Whatever. I don't, at this point, I'm like, I don't care anymore about these illegals. Because look, dude was trying to kidnap children.
Faces serious charges, including child abuse, kidnapping, and battery. But thanks to Kanan's bravery, 3 kids are safe and sound with their mother today.
Yeah. But, you know, the liberal hive mind say, well, that poor dude must have had something terrible happen to his life, you know, in the past. Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with him now, right? The past is the past. Oh, you know, maybe his, you know, he wasn't brought up right. Well, so what's that got to do? He's got his own brains now to work with, right? So this is the one I was gonna bring up, but like, yeah, that disappeared. So I was like, what?
Iran
Oh no.
youth.
Oh, what happened? How'd I get it? Yeah, I'm a member. Sorry, this was yeah. So let's go. Yes. I was like really worried there. I was like, what did you do to me, internet? And that's the other thing. Also, guys, if you want to learn about Islam and stuff, right, and what's happening around the world with religion and stuff, not just Islam, do check out this channel. Very cool channel, Atheist Republic. What is going on with this freaking... Hold on. Let me set this up. Maybe it's got to do with that. There we go. All right. Aman and Sarah. Get my links in. See, so there's a revolution by the youth happening in Iran against their dictators, their Islamic dictators. That's been in place for almost 50 years now. And this current generation said, like, we've seen our parents get mistreated, and we're not going to have this in our lives. And we're not going to be putting up with this shit no more. You know, we're not going to take it anymore. Twisted Sister, that thing. Oh no, we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it anymore. I've got the album. All right. So let's do some media stuff. So as we segue into that or whatever, I don't know. I'm not really good at this shit. So as if you're new here, you know that. I mean, if you're not new here, you already know that. Introductions and all that stuff doesn't work with me. But let's do this.
Expert biologist, and when this handsome fellow isn't traveling across the world doing research, he's at home cooking a great meal?
But yeah, that's all true, but Sancho, where did you get that? An excellent assistant knows how to write an excellent introduction. You got it, boss.
Or taking a long walk on the beach. Who wrote this mess?
Yeah. Not good at that sort of stuff. So here we go. Iran's youth humiliates the mullahs, the main topic of the day. We got here faster than we usually do, but hopefully you guys, you know, this is from Atheist Republic. Do check them out. Amazing site. Really cool stuff. They cover a lot of stuff.
Humiliates the mullahs. The regime is dying. So basically, this is my opportunity to show you guys this video that was viral in Iran and talk about this interesting op-ed I read recently. So Iran's youth just delivered a humiliating blow to the mullahs, proving the regime is losing its grip on the next generation. A viral video from a state-commissioned documentary, oh, this is so juicy, intended to warn, intended to be a chilling documentation of a so-called cultural invasion, heartbreaking, instead exposed how little young Iranians care about their rulers. Teen girls giggled as they failed to name Iran's past and present leaders, a stark contrast to the older generations who once chanted and prayed for their health every morning at school. As one contributor to Iran International noted, today's youth are not indoctrinated like before. Quote, unlike my millennial generation, whose priority was politics and the collective, my niece's Gen Z generation is concerned with the individual, my hair, my rights, my aspirations. With widespread access to social media and illegal satellite TV.
All right. So this is very important, right? In the sense that like Gen Z over there is reaching what we were reaching in Gen X, right? So we were like that, like my rights, my individualism, how I dress, what music I listen to, who my friends are, what I'm entertained by. And that's why everybody like in the West now goes like, we were the greatest generation. We were so, we were what we were, and they go, oh, it was all great. Most of the time it wasn't great. It was shit. Growing up was shit. The 80s was shit. You went out on the street, you probably starved all day and came home at night. Unless you had parents who were good, there was bread in the fridge, right? Or there's some like salami, like in New Zealand, we had luncheon. They used to be called luncheon, not salami, but like it's like that processed meat. I think you guys call it spam, but it's not. It doesn't come in a can. It comes in like a round sausage thing, right? But I got reminded of something just there from another channel. Let me get my thoughts again. Yeah, anyway, so, or if there was yogurt there, right? So there was something left over as you were able to grab for lunch. But all day out, you were like just on the streets riding around with your friends. And maybe if you ended up at their place, went over their place and their parents were home or their mum was home, especially, you might get a sandwich or you're screwed, And a lot of times I got into a lot of shit because I used to be a shoplifting and all that as a kid. And so that's how we fed ourselves, right? Snacks and shit. Well, not snacks, well, like chocolates and lollies and stuff like that. But yeah, and so the thing here is, if you look at like, this is what really surprised me about Iran right now. It's like, and why, like earlier I showed you the picture of like Nika, right? The girl that they basically murdered. These a-holes here. They murdered a 16-year-old, right? I think it was just 14, around that age. But it's Gen Z. In Iran, it's Gen Z who wants the individuality, that wants their rights and stuff. And it was us and Gen X 30 years ago. 30? Yeah, about 35 years ago, maybe, 15. Yeah, about then. When we wanted our thing. So the Gen Z in Iran isn't the Gen Z of the of the West. They're the Gen X of their generation.
Health every morning at school. As one contributor to Iran International noted, today's youth are not indoctrinated like before. Quote, unlike my millennial generation, whose priority was politics and the collective, my niece's Gen Z generation is concerned with the individual, my hair, my rights, my aspirations.
Yep.
With widespread access to social media and illegal satellite TV, young Iranians are rejecting the Islamic Republic entirely, not with protests, well, also that, but with apathy. The regime may still hold power, but it's clear it has already lost the future. So let's watch this video, and then I also want to talk about some really cool quotes from this op-ed. So for context, guys, this is a state documentary, and part of this documentary was to document this like kind of
And also look, their dress, right? This is modern Iran. This is like just the other week, right? And so you look at these girls, they dress just like us, right? In the 80s and stuff, and probably, you know, a bit more Gen Z looks, whatever. I don't know, it's like youth culture, youth dress.
cultural tragedy of the problems
Remember,
with the
dress, by the way, jeans. Remember, you got to be dressed all in black there. You know, if you know, it's pretty hard line. Look, make us, Susie, make Iran great again.
youth. Wait.
My God.
Wait. Did you not notice this, Armin?
Make Iran great again. My God. See, and this is the other thing that people don't realize is that Trump is like loved across the world. And not in the sense that like who is he as an individual, but what he is as an idea, an ideal. And so, but he lives out his ideals and ideas. He puts them into practice, which a lot of politicians don't when they get in. And this is what a lot of people around the world saw, which is why a lot of us were going, man, we hope he gets back in. Because where America goes, as I mentioned to some people recently, where America goes, that's where the world follows. So if you have a weak America, you have a weak world of leaders. So you'll notice that there was a lot of socialist leaders around the world, you know, with communist ideals in the last 8 years or so, or last 15 years. Well, that was due to how weak America was. And so everybody that was, because America was a socialist country, even if you want to say, no, it wasn't, it was, and it was going towards communism, which would have been like horrible for the entire world. Rolling that back meant that, hey, you know, now that we've got Trump in, who's a bit more hardline, more centrist right, and I'm like that as well. I'm centrist right or centrist left. I don't know. Depends on what the topic is, because I'm, you know, I'm multifaceted. I'm not like that, you know, like a stick in the mud, right? Stuck. It depends on what the subject is and what the topic is and what has been communicated and who the friggin' person who's talking to me is. All right. Because I take everything at individualistic, you know, face-to-face person, right? So that is what you're thinking about. Okay, let's talk about that. Not 5 people over here talking about that. Me and you just talking about that, you know. And I think a lot of times people, this is what I mean, like the people don't realize how weak the world had become in leadership due to what Biden was doing, what Obama was doing, right? The great black hope was basically the great white Democrat, right? Socialist. So then you saw, like, you know, I think there was like something like about somebody in Germany getting like going to jail or something. And the other thing I noticed, like there's a whole bunch of like fake news channels started up on YouTube with like 20,000, 50,000 subscribers and stuff. And like I was watching this one news about somebody, I was like, okay, so because like here, right? Like it'll be like Fox News and all this. I'm like, okay, so this must be legit news. Or maybe like they might have the proper, and I'm watching like it's a 20-minute thing about this, you know, some guy that went to jail. I'm like, but why is there like protest signs of like something else on there and all this? And I'm like, and then I realized, you know what? I don't think this is real. 10 freaking minutes in, like halfway in, I'm like, this isn't real. This can't be real. Let me just check your news, like YouTube search for this name and see, you know, such and such arrested. Nothing. It was all these fake freaking channels. Dude, like how, and this is the thing, right? How this is the other plague that you have, like all these AI channels and stuff that's turned up that are fake on YouTube, and yet they're getting, you know, all the bot accounts or whatever are getting subscribers, and you're thinking, oh, okay, this must be legit. And then you realize it's actually fake. And it's actually not research. It's not actually a news channel that's doing it. It's actually somebody just using AI and whatever else just to put together all these images and just get AI to read the shit out that they've decided to do. Or AI is, they use ChatGPT to write up the actual, give me 20 minutes of such and such going to jail, and within their history. And then and this is the other thing of the sad side of technology, that where we're at is that you won't be able to tell, and even now, what's real and what's not, because of your whole, people can use your voice and go, oh, say this in the sense of use this guy's voice to say this, or to use this guy's image to say this. And in Korea right now, they've got a really strong I think it's anti X-rated content, like using AI. Like you can't face swap people and use their bodies, like put them in positions of sexual positions or whatever imagery, and you can go to jail. Like no friggin' fines or anything, just jail. This is how hard, and I think that should be everywhere around the world. Every country should pick that up. It's like, okay, if you're using, X-rated, using AI to do X-rays of real human beings, it doesn't even matter if it's real human beings. But I think in the sense of real human being, it's got to be like, if you're using somebody's child, somebody's wife or partner to do that, then you should go to court. You should get arrested, right? Because at the end of the day, memes are memes. But if you're using that to then make money off and promote yourself and all that for clout, like Johnny Somali did, right? With this YouTuber, like influencer in Korea, and they were like, "Yo, nah, you can't. You're in our country. No, you're done." So the dude might be getting 5 to 15 years, whatever it is, and hopefully he does, because it will set a precedent, which means that anybody trying to do that with anybody else will end up in jail. And I think sometimes you have to do that, sometimes because of technology, you got to make new rules according to what is at hand, right? Especially now with the AI voice things, geez, it can be funny, but when it actually can actually ruin people's, I guess, their businesses, their livelihood, put them, in illegal situations, or damage their, their credibility, or defame them, which is one of the things that I think, I've had somebody trying to defame me online, and it was not the best feeling, because you're like, why are you saying these things about me when you don't even know me? I don't even know you, right? And the other thing is that it's just people are just malicious out here, and like I said, respect and safety, right?
Yeah. Oh wait, no, I didn't notice it. Oh, what the hell? That's you.
I'm gonna fall out of my chair.
Maga Susie. Wait.
You just pulled that up without noticing. Maga Susie, make your run great again.
She's Susie, by the way.
I just noticed
with the Trump
comment,
hat. That's hysterical.
Yeah, that.
Oh my god.
That's Susie's picture with the Trump hat. Okay, Miga.
Oh my god.
Actually, to be honest, a lot of Iranians are using Miga. They are saying Miga, but that was amazing. That's fantastic.
I almost fell out of my chair. Holy crap. I need a moment. I was just so blindsided. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, so basically, let me get back to this. Maga Susie's in the bus.
Maga. Okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's Iman.
Okay, so
at the bottom, and Susie at the top.
basically, they were making this documentary, almost like a public awareness campaign to be like, look at the tragedy of our youth. Like, they don't even know who Khomeini is. They don't know who Khamenei is. Like, this is how it's so bad. This is how far we've strayed, blah, blah, blah. But then a lot of liberal people in Iran and abroad are like, no, the kids are doing all right. The kids are all right. So let's look at the clip from this documentary. And I will read the translation. So
where is this? This is the video
probably
from
in Tehran.
But okay, so look at the woman. Look at where they're wearing.
Yeah.
The clothing. Okay.
I don't know if it's in Tehran. I don't know, but
I could tell once you start playing.
Okay, so the person who's speaking first is like the woman promoting religious stuff, and she's saying to the young girls, "I want to show you some photos to see if you know them." And she's going to show photos of Khomeini, who is the first supreme leader of Iran, and Khamenei, who is the current, right?
Yeah, the first dictator and the current dictator, basically, Islamist dictator.
So I want to show you them photos. See, do you know these men? Oh yeah,
Okay,
no, she
first of all,
starts out
this is-
showing celebrities. Actually, I should clarify. So he's like, "Oh, do
Yeah,
you know
because
them?"
they're trying to expose that Iranian youth know BTS, but they don't know Khomeini and Khamenei, which is actually quite bizarre to me that they don't know that. Like, how did they not? But it's interesting. Also, yes, this is in Iran. This is so in Iran. So yeah, continue.
Yeah. Like, oh, I know this. This is BTS. Oh my gosh, I love them. Da, da, da. You know, like young girls. Oh my god, K-pop armies, BTS army in Tehran, full force. Oh, what do you think about them? I love them. Oh wow, this one's Billie Eilish. Blah blah blah. You know.
Wait, so see this? See the head? See the hair? See the clothing? These are teenage girls in Iran.
Oh, she's so cool. She has a beautiful voice, like a cool vibe.
So see this? This is the oppressors, or the oppressed, the ones who fall in line. You could say in a way like the Nazi youth, right, in Germany at that time, or the brown cloth, the brown gosh, it's been a while. It's like the brown. Yeah, they wore the brown uniform, where they had the SS wear the black uniform. So these are the brown ones, right? This is the brown ones.
So,
They show a picture of Khomeini, and they're like, "Why do you laugh at him? Do you know him?"
So it's interesting that they're laughing because these are people so they were looking at K-pop and Billie Eilish or other celebrities, and they were enjoying that. And then she brings a picture of Khomeini, and they start laughing because I think the reason why they're laughing is because it's a mood kill. Like the youth is like, what the fuck what is this old people shit that you're showing us? You know what I mean? Like this is like old man stuff. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. Is this Khomeini or is this Khamenei?
Look, 90s, right? Reminds me of like what was that like? What's that band called? Chocolate Fish? What was it like? No. I did it all for the nookie, right? It's almost like that whole 90s new metal look, right?
So they can't tell the difference between
all for the nookie.
Wow. So she can't tell the difference between Khomeini and Khamenei. Is this Khomeini or Khamenei?
Not the first dictator or the second dictator.
So she doesn't know which is which. Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, and also, guys, just like look at how they're dressed. Look at the hair. You know, they're
Yeah.
like, who are these ahuns, these mullahs, these turbaned dudes? They're all the same. Who is this? I can't tell. Haven't you seen his picture in your first grade book? They're like, isn't this in your textbooks? Like, isn't this in your curriculum? Or like, framed above your classroom,
See, they sort of have,
Yeah, okay, but I think
right. So
to be fair, there are
in dictatorships, you got to have the leaders face everywhere. That's why I see South Korea. It's like, I mean, not South Korea, North Korea and China. It's like, Mao's heads everywhere, and Kim Dae-jung, whatever his name is, over in Korea, his face is on everything, like buildings, like it's like she says, it's got to be in your curriculum, it's got to be in your exercise books, right? In your first grade book. Didn't you see his photo in there? The crazy thing is,
their pictures are everywhere, but there's always Khomeini and Khamenei everywhere. They're next to each other, right? So I could see if you're one of the youth who's not following the news, and it's just like having fun and are into like music and dancing and just partying, and you don't care about the news, and you always see their pictures always next.
Khomeini got no riz. I don't have any riz, I'm sure.
To each other, I can see why maybe they can't tell them apart. Okay, sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, but I always tore his pictures out of my book.
That's what I was trying to get. Like, but yeah, why you want to see some old fart in your exercise book as a kid? Oh, so you can be propagandized and indoctrinated that this is what you should do for the rest of your life. You should worship these people. And this is why I think a little Westerners don't understand about Iran or about Islam. It's really a dictatorship, right? In the sense of like, that's why you can tell people by the way they dress, right? So you've got here these young girls, and just free, the hairstyle, t-shirt, long t-shirt, right? Because I think it's a long t-shirt, it's like about up to here, and just jeans and the backyard and shirt, right? But then you've got to see this other lady over here.
So
like, yeah, I
so
would
for
see him, but I
people-
just throw it away.
So for people who don't know what she means by this, in Iran, the first, like in our school books, the very first page, okay, is always a picture of Khomeini. Like if you open it, there's a page of Khomeini that you always just go past, and then there's the title of the book, and then you go past, and then you get to the table, like chapter 1, chapter 2, whatever. Okay. So it's now a norm in Iran, like it's a thing a lot of students do, is that they just always tear apart the Khomeini picture and they throw it away, right?
Yep.
And many Iranian students actually film themselves, like whenever they go to the first grade or second grade or third grade, they take the books and they video themselves tearing apart the Khomeini picture. Yeah, but go on.
No, but Armin, I just want to ask you, like, as someone from your generation, like, what does this make you think? This,
This is not the Iran I recognize. Like the idea of, like everybody knew Khomeini and Khamenei, the difference. I mean, you have to be completely isolating yourself from that entire world.
It's basically Mao and Z, right? Z Peng, or whatever his name is now. It's like Z, Chairman Z, and then you're Chairman Mao, right? And whoever will come next. But there comes a time when you got to go, well, as a youth, you go, well, do I want to live the life that my family, I saw my parents live, right? Being oppressed. And you go, no, I don't want that life. I want to live my life the way I want. It's not always the right choice, because sometimes your parents actually know what's good for you, depending if they love you, right? Because not all parents love their kids. But then there are those that don't. And sometimes you got to, get out into the world and find out for yourself who you are and how you fit into it all, which can be dangerous and could be good, depending what lifestyle you choose, right?
And I can see why. I mean, some people might call them, well, they're ignorant. How come they're not following the news? Because it's fucking depressing. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're in Iran, I mean, you can say, okay, well, you have to be informed because only informed citizens will be able to fix this country and raise against the country and raise against the government and, take the country back. But yeah, I get that. But at the same time, we have a youth that all of this sounds like fucking bullshit, depressing. Like, it's all ugly. You know what I mean? It's just, this is Islamic political fucking. By the way, when I say Islamic,
well, and also they're powerless against it anyways. I mean, within the government system that's created, it's rigged. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a young person like that even think, like, many of them, not all of them, a lot of them are actually. So this generation has. I don't want to generalize this generation, okay? This generation has some of the most aggressive political activists, okay, within it. And also it has some people who are like, I don't give a shit, man. I just want to have fun. I'm a young kid.
Yeah.
I want to party. I want to dance. I want music. I want to hang out with my friends. I want to dress up in these cool, ways, modern ways, and fuck all of this shit. And when you grow
break everything, right? That's what came to my mind. It was like, break everything. Did all from the kid. I can't remember the name of the band, but like, break everything, right? Just want to live my life stress-free from oppression of this fucking shithole dictatorship that I'm living under, that my parents had to live over, and maybe my grandparents, the last 50 friggin' years. But they can't, right? The moment I mean, some can, depending on who they are and how connected their parents are, but the rest, like Nika, they get pulled aside and murdered. That's it, And she's just one of them, by the way. Nika,
grew up in Iran. Islam and politics are kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? It was an adjustment for us to realize in other countries these are not necessarily the same thing, right? So, given that Islam is so anti-fun and politics is Islam, a lot of people think like, okay, this is like, I don't give a shit. Like, this is like other old people shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, we're just like, what is like, it's a buzzkill. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it any better. I hope people understand what I'm trying to communicate, the feeling that some people have
it's
to it.
depression. It's like living under a regime that is like a black cloth over you, right? I mean, like they dress, they make, their oppressors basically make every woman dress in black from head to toe. And so, it's like this cloud of fear and oppression as a youth. You don't want to be, you want to throw that off and I'm free, get past that. So you listen to music that you like, you engage in sometimes dangerous stuff, but it's, but at least you are, you're finding your own sort of stability that you want, not living under a freaking black oppressive rock over your head, right? Pressing down on you and all the time. And having watched your family, your parents, like I said, or your, aunties and uncles, whatever, be treated that way their entire life. And like, hush, 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 we can't, and it's crazy. So I don't, because this is a members only thing. I don't want to go and play. It's got changed to members only thing. It was from a live stream that they clipped into 40 minutes, right? I don't want to like do too much, take too much away from this. But I think if I go back, I might be able to find the live stream, right? But here's so this is something that happened 2 years. This is how like it started, right?
Something just happened. I just found out before the stream that happened in Iran. Okay.
Mhm.
There are two mullahs that were attacked with iron rods.
Oh my God.
Beaten by iron rods in Iran to the point of trying to kill them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the
it
oppressors,
seems
right?
like these attacks. Yeah, it seems like these attacks were just because they were mullah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Because so the first one, so the guy was on his phone. The first mullah was on his phone, and he was the Friday. Let me see. Yeah, this is happening in Qom, and one of them was the leading Friday prayer, right? The leading imam of the Friday prayer, right? I don't know how you say that in English, right? But he was just talking on his phone, and two young men. Let me just see if I'm just reading his impression. Two young men just came out with iron rods and starting to beating the crap out of him. And the other mullah was in his car and he couldn't believe what's happening. So he got out of his car and he called them out or something. And as soon as the two other young men saw that he also has a turban on, they started attacking him as well. Okay.
Oh my God.
So you saw the girls, right? So this is 2 years earlier where the boys are more like aggressive, right? The girls are changing how they dress and stuff. The guys are out there on the opposite end going, we're going to attack these oppressors. So these guys are the ones that like preach to the rest of them how to live their life under Islamic rule, right? These are their friggin' oppressors, and that's why they are doing this. Hey, I'm not saying that's right, but when what was it like? There was this. Geez, what was that song? There was like right at the start of one of the songs from the at the start I played Shihad. Factory. So right at the start of one of the songs, I think it says, imagine a view of the future. Let me just find a saying here. So where is this quote from? This quote from Imagine a future with the boot over the what's that? Imagine boot on your neck, something like that. Hopefully you can come up with something. So I don't even know what the full quote is, but yeah, so this is it, right? So if you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot dumping on a human face forever. And this is from 1984, George Orwell, right? And it's a quote by O'Brien, a member of the party, to Winston Smith, who's the lead, right? Whose the story is about, as he describes the oppressive and unending rule of totalitarianism, right? So, yeah. So, famous quote from, and that was actually what on the Churn album at the start of one of the songs. I just heard because I was listening to the whole album just before I came on. Yeah, so there is the. Actually, let me wait. Actually, let me show you the whole quote without all the fluff. George Orwell, 1984. Excuse me. Here we go. So this is the. I've watched the movie and I've read the book, if I remember right. So that's a quote. Like, so imagine if you want to a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. And basically, this is a rebellion against these people who are stomping on their faces forever. You know, the totalitarian. I can't even say the word, right? Totalitarianism, whatever. Here it is. No, I can't even bring that up. Hold on. This is the word, right? So unending, oppressive and unending rule of, and these guys have had to face this for 50 years, man. Like, it's something that the people, and this is communism, socialism, Marxism, all rolled into one, and Islam is basically friends with all of that, and which a lot of people don't understand why it's like, so everybody kind of has to dress the same. Everybody has, yeah, it's, religion is religion, right? Whatever. But when you have this sort of cult like oppressive dictatorial supreme leader, right, kind of thing happening, and then you got all your little minions who follow through and make sure that they're passing their message along to the people on the ground. Well, the people on the ground are going to turn back and attack the oppressors, because it's only so long the lemmings, lemmings, the little animals, lemmings, will carry on. The sheep will just keep walking the way you want them to walk. There will be a ram in there who will go, yeah, no, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna accept this anymore, and they'll turn around and start, bucking with their horns, right? Ram's horns, and this is what's happening. And this was 2 years ago. So at that point, and this is where it's starting, right? It's not something new. It's been there for a while. It's bubbling under the societal rule of these oppressors. So the link is there in the chat. There you can watch the rest of it there. But please do check out Atheist Republic, Asia Now. All those guys do amazing work. Like, I mean, we live in a generation, a timeline where there's so much information. But there's certain channels that are worth following for information, right? To learn something new rather than just watch your 6 o'clock news where it repeats the same shit, makes you depressed. But here you can actually learn something from these other guys who are actually doing the research, because basically media needs the money, right, to keep advertisers, happy, whatever, to keep them getting funded, to keep things, so they got to come up with stories all day long. These guys out here are actually doing, channels like us, right, basically spending our own free time to do our own research or whatever we find. Excuse me. And just I'm just glad that wasn't heavy metal playing, because I know my thing. But these amazing channels out here doing stuff, right, that are actually research that the actual people in the media don't have the guts to do or talk about, right? Like ACES Republic talking about Islam, talking about Iran, talking about things that are like, religions around the world and the bad side of it, So I find that very, it's for me like enlightening, right? Like, and I think if you are someone similar in vein like me who likes to learn new things and learn what's going on around you, do check them out. So that's it for today. Let me just check if I had anything else lined up. Yeah, let's finish with this. Yeah. Actually, no, hold on. Let me, yeah. But let me, this one, right? So since I'm on the same thing, it'll be easier to go from this one rather than a new screen. It'll come up. Yes.
If you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know exactly what my opinion is on the Palestinian activist movement in the West. A ragtag coalition of far-left activists, Muslims, radicals, LGBTQ activists, and many with a vision for a pan-Islamic world, which on paper doesn't make any sense. But with all their talk of anti-imperialism, anti-colonialism, and other buzzwords I doubt they even understand, they've somehow positioned themselves as the ultimate moral authority. Except that's not entirely true, is it? This morality, the activism, the college takeovers, and the brown shirt tactics is surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, selective. Nothing made that more glaringly obvious than this movement's general reaction to what transpired in Syria just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Minorities, both religious and ethnic, were persecuted for the world to see in the most brutal.
Yeah, I was going to cover this at that time. And then like I got ill. And then next thing I know is like I got hit with a virus on my computer. Like 10-cent virus actually, and I did a dumb thing. I just deleted the actual folder I was in, and not getting the virus software I had to actually go and seek it out before, and then I ended up having to restart. I went in because of that. It took me a week going back and forth and finding out with my software, and I thought it was the software that was a problem, like the app that I use for drawing. So I'm a whole week behind on work. And also, none of this. And I didn't, so I was like, emergency Syria, whatever. And then like, I was like, I can't actually stream. And so I was like, okay, we'll talk about it later. Give it about a couple of weeks and, after the fact. But this thing was really like you said, eye-opening, right? Pro-Palestine, we love Muslims, we can't have all those, we can't, and they're getting hurt. Syria, yeah, go kill them. Yeah, those minorities in Syria, the Alawites, yeah, Alawites, go kill them. Yeah, that's fine. On the streets, daytime. Farmers working in the fields, shot dead. Dude had nothing to do with nothing. He's just out there working. Oh no, he's the wrong type of Muslim. Yeah.
Unrestrained ways imaginable. And when I say general reaction from these activists, what I meant was that unrestrained ways imaginable. And when I say
what I just do? Hold on.
The internet. If you've been following this channel for nothing made that more glaringly obvious than this movement's general reaction to what transpired in Syria just a few weeks ago. Minorities, both religious and ethnic, were persecuted for the world to see in the most brutal, unrestrained ways imaginable. And when I say general reaction from these activists, what I meant was there was, in fact, none. So a quick summary. What happened in Syria? As you may know, Syria is probably one of the most unstable countries in the world right now. Assad's regime fell recently. Dan went to the war in Gaza. But what followed wasn't peace. It was chaos.
This dude is a terrorist, a former terrorist, a current terrorist, and will be a terrorist. But he put on a suit, right? So he's Europe's type of terrorist because he's put on a suit. But he's always been a terrorist. But no. He put on a suit. Look, it's nicely dressed. Like that lady from, who was a UN. Remember, who came from Africa and brought her slave along to UK to be her servant from, but she was a UN person. She was a judge and everything. So she was allowed, you know how it is. Like if you know, but people go, well, if you change your clothes, well, that means that, but it's your heart and soul, right? By their actions. So what do? He turned around while putting a suit, went and massacred a whole lot of people. Yeah. Oh, we're going to bring democracy. No, so, Assad's gone. Assad, as shitty as he was keeping everybody in line. Yo, you're there, you stay there. You're there, you stay there. You go over there, from there, you get done. You get imprisoned. But, but like, okay, we need to change. Okay, boom. Let's get the terrorists in. Let's get the ISIS in. Yeah, let's go kill everybody that disagrees with our way. So next thing you know, you're going to have Iran, a dictatorship thing over in Syria. And he is the new dictator.
Predictably, too, minority communities, particularly Alawites and Christians, found themselves in the crosshairs. Entire towns were emptied, families disappeared, and it was out in the open for the world to see. It did actually
hold on.
remind me.
I just remembered, right? So on my I noticed like there were some comments on a video I put up recently. It was a clip I put up maybe yesterday or the day before. So shorts. Was it shorts? So yeah, this is the one. So let me. Yeah. So check this out. Shares, stop screen, share screen. So I had these guys come up, and like two of them, Muslims, come up, right? I could tell by the names, right? So Islam will continue to spread whether you are willing to accept it or not, right? Yeah, cool. Another one goes, right, Islam leaves no space for speculation. If Islam is truth, then indeed all is to submit to truth. All right, look at the way they talk, all right? All is to submit to truth, right? Willing to accept it or not, right? Get right? So I'm like, yeah, but if you repent, but if they repent like anybody else and establish prayer, so unless if they become Muslims, okay, all right, and then they pay you, then leave them alone. But if they don't become Muslims and don't pay you, well, you can kill them. It's actually from Quran. Because Allah is merciful. Yeah, after they pay you and after you become a Muslim, then Allah is merciful and forgiving. Right? This is from Quran 9.5. So this is what the comments was for, by the way.
Came to reform the lives of the people. And we are commanded to continue spreading the prosperity of Islam until Islam covers the entirety of the world. And until this happens, there is no such thing called we don't have to advance. We don't have to spread.
We will work, we will engage, we will interact, we will deliver this da'wah until Allah makes this deen supreme or we die in the attempt.
Yeah.
So Allah gives this religion the dominance that He promised it. Or I die in the process.
Yeah.
I die in pursuit of that.
Yeah.
Islam didn't come to be accommodated into a secular world. Rather, Islam came to establish itself and accommodate all other people within the fold of Islam as Muslims or Ahl Dhimma.
Islam came to reform.
Get in line, scum. Yeah, get in line, scum. Or you're gonna be put down. That's basically what he's saying. All right, we're gonna spread out Islam, whether you like it or not. All right, whether you like it or not, you're gonna get it whether you like it or not. Unless you convert to Islam and pay money, right? Then you're gonna be okay. Otherwise, you're screwed. But peace, bro, peace. It's a religion of peace. It's never been a religion of peace. It's always like, if you look at wherever Islam has been, it's always been like destructive, violent, and and the weird thing is that a lot of where they spread to, people there don't read their language, right? So they don't read the Quran in Arabic, because in Arabic it's got a lot of hidden things in there that in English doesn't translate well to. And so there are a lot of really cool channels that you can find online, one of them being Christian Prince, that official Christian Prince, by the way, because people are trying to, like, do their thing, where he gets into it and explains to you, because he understands the language and speaks it, that what is actually meant by what they're saying. There's some crazy shit, right? Really crazy shit. And we're back to this. Oh,
the videos that circulated on October 7. But unlike October 7, there were no crowds gathering in Western capital cities. There was a rather eerie silence. You'd think, during a time of heightened activism and outrage, that these events would have triggered something, anything really, but it didn't. And that silence, it tells you more than any chant or protest ever could. Because despite the slogans, the hashtags, the kafirs draped over shoulder pads, it's never really been about human rights, has it?
No.
These movements are fragmented at best, opportunistic at worst, a patchwork of groups with wildly different goals, some pushing for anti-colonial liberation, others obsessed with dismantling the West, whatever that means, and more than a
Marxism
few simply hate Jews.
and Islam.
They shout about persecution in Gaza, but scroll right past one in Syria. They occupy college campuses over one government, but say nothing about sectarian atrocities under another. As it has been obvious to many, this is theatre, political cosplay for the chronically online.
Yep, laughing.
Victims
Like I
fit the
said,
narrative, and the perpetrators
laughing
are-
for Islam, laughing for Gaza, laughing for Palestine. Palestine isn't even a real country, right? Never has been, never will be. All right, but yeah, it's a nice little place for Muslims to use it and Arabs to use as a cannon fodder against Israel. It's always been that way. A makeshift little shelter place is like a wall against Israel, because they want all of Israel to be Jews to be wiped out. So you got to use that. And the dummies in the West like go, oh well, and the left brain goes, oh, we got to protect them. And then really, it's Iran pushing for that all the time. And as you can see, now the Iranians are going, we're getting tired of this shit. Right, we're getting tired of us as a people being seen as a terrorist people. And by the way, Aryan is actually Iran. The white people go like, well, white Aryan, right? That comes from Iran, because they're the Aryan people.
On Israeli soldiers or American drones, they don't just go quiet, they disappear. Because to many of them, Syria wasn't the right kind of suffering. It didn't offer a useful villain. There was no West to blame, no settler colonial framework to force onto it, just uncomfortable facts and victims who didn't fit the script. So they moved on, and the movement stayed quiet. Oddly enough, I think silence is the only consistent part of this movement.
Yeah.
I previously did a video on the marriage between Islamists and the radical left, marred in what studies showed was narcissism, of course disguised as moral virtue. Syria isn't the first time this has happened. The Uyghurs in China is another example. In fact, the same far-left radicals generally consider this to be a conspiracy against the Chinese, whom they admire for obvious reasons. And more importantly, it's
Communism,
rather
right?
easy for them to ignore the general persecution of Christian minorities in many areas of the world, from Congo to Syria. Why? Because in their worldview, Christians traditionally held power. In the hierarchy of victimhood, that means they don't get the same level of empathy or
Yeah.
even attention from these groups. To them,
See, like I said, I'm always about the people and the individual, right? I don't give a fuck about the religion. I don't care what their belief system is. I'm about the individual rights and about human life. I don't care what your religious beliefs are, but if you're in like, if you're getting mistreated, I'm there. I'm on your side, right? But if you're like, you're the oppressor, like these morons, or you're like, if you're like promoting for on the side of the oppressor, like they do, right? Like I said, they don't go and talk about the Uyghurs, right? The Muslims in China who are enslaved, who are brainwashed, who have to dress up and dance for the tourists in their own town, because now it's just a tourist destination for Westerners to go and go, oh, that's nice little Uyghur people. However, they have to dress and dance like a monkey for the tourist, so that they can, so the Chinese don't look like they're oppressing them while they're getting oppressed and stuff. It's like, what is it, like putting a lipstick on a donkey, right? Basically, that's what it is. Yeah, and these guys are on the side of the oppressors. They just don't get it, and that's why, like, it's like the left is so brain fucking dead because they don't watch anything, they don't learn anything, right? They don't actually go out of the go, well, why is it really happening behind the thing? So I mentioned to someone recently, like I actually had a tutor in 2004 from Texas, America, very learned, a doctorate, right? And everything, like media studies. And she said, dude, don't just take what you see on the news, right, or read in the paper. Always look behind it and question everything, right? And that's where for the last 21 years, I've been like, I've read so much. I've been around, reading books, researching. I spent 5 years looking into the history of my own culture in Fiji and learning about the slavery movement and about what came after the slavery movement. How the hell did Indians arrive in Fiji, in 1885, 1886, right? How the hell did they get there? I thought we always were there. Didn't even know that, right? Because I moved over when I was like 7 years old. But that's the thing. Like, if you are ignorant of something, you should learn something, right? Go find out about it more. But these guys don't. They just act. It's like when you're like enraged and you don't take time away. When somebody says something to you, just and gives you information, you just go rah, rah, rah. Instead of doing that, you just go, okay, hold on, let me just find out if what that person's saying is true. Search it out, like, okay, then come back and go, yeah, you're right, or yeah, no, you're wrong, but oh yeah, I can see your point, but but these guys don't do any of that. That's why the left brain, it's just so screwed up because it only thinks one way. It's like only one half, and that's the way thing is in life. There should be a balance, right? So that when you approach a topic or something, you actually know both sides, right? And you get an idea, and then you find a middle ground to have discourse over. But these guys, all they know is rage and anger, and because they all work out of emotion. And like I said, I used to be like that, working out of emotion. I still sometimes do, and I've got to temper myself. So that's something you got to really think about. Is like when you're faced with adversity or something, well, what is going on? Why is it? Why are we seeing what's going on? What's behind the scene? Like Ukraine, right? There was a documentary by Oliver Stone, right? The guy who did JFK and all the some pretty major movies. Did a documentary called Ukraine Under Fire, or Ukraine on Fire. Watch that if you want to know what happened with Ukraine and why they went to war with Russia, or why Russia attacked them. Very, very concise. CIA involvement, UK involvement, Biden's freaking Obama and Biden involvement, right? Politicians. That's why they went to war. That's why nothing happened in that 4 years that Trump was in. And next thing is, war. Because the lines, the pocket's got to be lined. War is money. It's always about money, right? People don't go to war for nothing. It's always for money. Because when you have lots of armaments and stuff, you got to get rid of, because they get aged out, right? You got to use them up.
Christians are treated as persona non grata, and ironically, this is despite the fact that many of these countries once had large Christian populations. Long before European colonization, before Western empires even existed, these regions had already been conquered by Arab imperialists. From Egypt to Iraq, Syria to North Africa, Christianity wasn't foreign, it was foundational. But over centuries, through conquest, discrimination, and forced conversions, those communities were gradually pushed to the margins or erased.
Yeah, remember
altogether.
that, forced conversions, and that's what the guy said, right? You got to submit, right? You got to submit, otherwise you die, or you submit and you pay money. But quiz for Palestine, dude.
Yet somehow, in a modern activist narrative, that entire history gets
Which is,
brushed
which
aside.
we found out, like we did a whole thing on, like, laughing for, gays for Palestine, or like gays for Islam. And we saw the videos of them being like, pull behind their trucks in the main street with their legs tied to rope, dragged around. And what they do to, LGBT, right, people over in, when it comes to Islam. Yeah, they don't survive. They gotta hide. Well, in the West, we're the oppressors because we don't let them hide. We let them walk around, do whatever they want. but the Westerners are oppressive, right? It's so oppressive towards LGBT in the West, right? You know, they have no rights, right? But they have all the rights in Islam. Yeah, the right to die. That's the right they have in Islam. Oh, but Jews, they're horrible people. Like, yeah, but they're Western country, which allows, you know, gay people to do what they want to do, right? As long as they don't do anything illegal, right? But Islam's really good, right? Yeah. Islam's Palestine, gays for Palestine. Except if you're in Palestine and you're gay, you get thrown off a freaking rooftop. A lot has been noted about that.
Arab imperialism doesn't count. Islamic conquest isn't mentioned. And the only colonizers that matter are the ones that speak English. Just so you know, entire traditions, history, cultures, and religions.
How's that? All pushed aside. India, Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan were always conquered by the Muslims, like every 50 years, right? They would come in, boom, oppress them. That's why India threw them out in the separation, which were about 1930s, 40s. I can't remember. It's been a while since I looked into that. You know, Syria. Look at the culture, right? What is it? United Arab Emirates, Yemen, Egypt, Pakistan, Iran. Look at how gorgeous they looked in the dress. All these cultures had their own frigging cultures until Islam got into it, right? And that's going to be Europe, man. Well done, Europe. Yeah, and they're already. We saw videos earlier about earlier streams where they're forcing young girls into like changing their dress at school. Guys, Arab guys, Muslim guys, teenagers. Right, the other one here. So Malaysia, Somalia. Individual cultures of those people. The black depressive cloth. Oh yeah, but it's for your own good, because like then you won't get violated, if you dress like this. Well, they shouldn't be violating anybody anyway, no matter how you dress, right?
Were wiped out by this imperialism, but because they eventually lost power in the modern era, none of that seemingly matters. That is, even despite the same persecution continuing on for hundreds of years, all the way to today. So when the movement claims the moral high ground, when it positions itself as the voice of the oppressed, you've got to ask, oppressed by whom exactly? Because the more you look at it, the more it starts to feel like moral outrage is less about principles and more about politics. It's generally never about who's suffering. Instead, it's about who can be blamed. If the West is involved, outrage. If Israel is involved, fury. If it's a regime backed by China, Iran, or say the Houthis, suddenly it's complicated, nuanced, quiet. And that kind of moral selectivity is straight up dangerous, because when you claim to fight for justice, but only when it's politically convenient, what you're doing isn't justice, it's propaganda. I think many in certain factions of this particular activist movement are well aware, but perhaps the more useful idiots in the same movement gobble it all up. The word imperialism gets thrown around like candy.
And here's the thing. Muslims hate these people, right? They hate these people. Because remember, Muslims are very right-wing conservative. And I don't mean like Western conservative. I mean like conservative, right? It's like their way or the highway. So this is a symbol of disgust to them, right? But, they'll line up because it serves their purpose, because it's against the West. So the Muslims will line up here, and the young whatever will line up with them and protest alongside them because, hey, it serves their purpose. And this is why I'm like so against this whole bullshit of, Queers for Palestine and, pro-Palestine movements on campus and all this shit, because none of these guys actually understand that what they're standing for is actually against their own thing. And individualism, their own rights. Because under Islam, you have no rights. You just got to follow the rules of the thing, right? And that's what, like, I just find that all oppressive. Anything oppressive is just, really, like, I mean. So that's it for us. Thank you for joining me. And wherever you are, thank you and have an awesome day. All the links are in the chat. I don't like to do the complete videos of everybody because that's their content and I just want to add my bit to it. But if you want to watch the full content, it's all there in the links in the chat. And later on, when I have some time, I'll actually timestamp it, so it's all it's all there. You can click to it quicker. Thank you, and sorry for the long 2-week wait. It was what it was, but hopefully you guys had some other ones. If you're following this channel and you got other videos to watch in that time that you might have missed out on. So once again, wherever you are, have an amazing day. We'll catch you on the wild side, on the next side, wherever side, flip side, and all that. Ka kite ano, be well, be safe wherever you are. Have an amazing day. Bye for
Nope. Can't stay here anymore. I gotta get back. I think this was the spot. Oh Lord, I beseech thee, please return me to my old life. I swear I'll do anything. Like, literally anything. And I won't bother you again, so pretty please bring me back to life.